All right, welcome everybody to Hollow Body. I am really excited about this. I have very strong opinions about Hollow Body in that I think it is probably the best ab exercise ever, and probably the only thing you ever really need to know as far as ab exercises, because you can use Hollow Body even if you're not an aerialist or a gymnast in every other exercise, ab exercise that you do to isolate muscles and to make those exercises 10 times more effective than just doing reps. Yeah, when I first started doing exercise, I just thought that reps were the goal. You know, if I can do 100 sit-ups, then I am, fit. I am strong. That's what that means. And that is absolutely false. Doing 100 sit-ups wrong won't yield any results, will not really make you stronger. You're just really good at pumping out, and in my case, using momentum. I wasn't even doing them correctly. So I know better now. So I'm hoping to pass that knowledge on so that you won't make the same mistakes that I made. But let's start with a warm-up. We are going to do just a little bit of cardio for warm-up. I have 5 different exercises that I want us to do. We're only going to spend about a minute doing each one, and we'll get a short break in between. The first exercise that we're going to do is jumping jacks, and we're just going to alternate between arms going up by the side and arms going out in front, and I'll talk about these each time as well. Then we're going to do what I've been calling jumping the fence, which I will show you. You're going to imagine that there's a very, very low-lying fence right here, and you're trying to jump over it each time, starting with the leg that would be closest to your invisible fencing. Okay, so that will be the second exercise that we're going to do. Then we're going to do a squat to a demi-point. I'm calling it a demi-point because I don't know ballet. But we're going to squat, then you're going to come up off of the heels of your feet, and I realize you can't see me, and then you're going to straighten your legs, trying to keep your heels off the ground. So again, you're going to squat, come up onto the balls of your feet. Feel free to use an object for balance, and then we're going to try to straighten through the legs, and then lower the heels, and repeat. Boop, boop, boop. If you're having trouble with that, you can, of course, narrow the stance. Just be mindful that no matter where you're squatting, your knees and your toes are going in the same direction. Don't let them go in different directions. That's not great. Then we're going to do some ice skaters. Ice skaters are a side-to-side movement. I'm crossing behind, I'm bending the knees, and I'm touching down on the ground each time, side to side. If you don't like the squatting part of it, you can just stay lifted and just do little crisscross actions. And the last one is what I'm calling inchworm jacks. So it's a jumping jack and an inchworm mixed together. So a regular inchworm, we're just walking the whole time. For an inchworm jack, you're going to try to jump it. So I'm really pushing into my hands. I'm going to try to jump my feet up as close as I can. I'm going to try to push into my hands to jump my feet back. So up and back. And of course, the closer you can get your feet, the harder these get. So you can challenge yourself. But I find that throughout the time, my feet get further and further and further away from my hands. And that is okay. Okay, so 5 sets, 1 minute of work, 15 seconds of rest in between each one. Ready? We're going to start with jumping jacks. 3, 2, 1, begin. And you can do arms in front, arms to the side. Arms in front, arms to the side. That's what I meant by alternating arms. Also feel free to, I don't know, get funky with it. I just really want your arms and your legs moving at the same time. Doing awesome. Only got about 20 more seconds to go. Begin to breathe. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rest. Awesome. Jumping the fence is the next thing we're doing. That's this one. So get ready for that in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Begin. And you can do things with the arms as well if you want to. I feel like I'm in a Broadway musical when I do that. I think I did this as the pirate themed jig. I'm doing this number. Also great. By the way, if you get tired, step it. Okay? Totally fine. Or if jumping is not an option, that's fine too. You're almost done. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and rest. Awesome. Okay, the next one was that squat, lift the heel, straighten the legs, put the feet back down. I'll make sure you can see my feet. Ready? 3, 2, 1, begin. Squat, heels, straighten, lower. Squat, heels, straighten, lower. I am trying to squeeze my butt at the top. And if you want this to be more about the point of your foot, then again, you can be in a little bit more. I find that this moment is harder here. But I come from a martial arts background, and this is a comfortable width for my feet. So that's what I prefer. You're almost done. 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Rest. Beautiful. Ice skaters are next. Now you can do arm movements with these as well if you want to. I like to kind of do like a diagonal arm thingy. And go. Boop. Boop. You can also jump these as well. And just like the jumping over the fence one, if you need to walk it, totally fine. Ten more seconds. You got this. And rest. Excellent. Last one we're going to do is those inchworm jacks that I showed. So it is going to be from a plank position. Make sure that your hands are running to your shoulders. And begin. Jump it up, jump it back. Try as much as you can to keep your arms straight. Try as much as you can to keep your legs straight as well. Really think about handstand arms, handstand shoulders. Really sending your tailbone up to the sky. As if you actually have a tail and someone is grabbing it and going yoink. You're almost done. 2, 1, rest. Ooh, good job, everybody. You're so strong. Take a quick sip of water. Catch your breath. Looking good. Hopefully that got your blood moving, your muscles warmed up, because that's really the goal. Now, I didn't do too much core stuff in that warm-up intentionally, because we're about to do a bunch of core stuff, so prepare yourself. But I just wanted to quickly discuss what it is exactly I'm talking about when I say hollow body, what muscles we're using, and what that feeling should feel like. I have 3 exercises that I really like that help you find that engagement and feel that engagement. And these exercises are more of exploring and trying to understand what those muscles are doing and how they feel. They're not meant to really tire you out, but I feel that if we start with those, when we do the exercises that are meant to tire them out, it'll help you better tap into those muscles and determine if you're doing the exercises correctly or not. Like I was mentioning before, what I find most helpful is to do exercises that are isolating specific muscle groups so that you have to do fewer reps, but you're building strength strategically so that you yield better results over time. And these are strength results that I'm talking about, by the way. So what is hollow body? Hollow body is usually used by aerialists, gymnasts, and other sports that require you to be flipping in the air. It is a way for us to hold our bodies solid and tight by using muscular engagement to support our skeletal structure when we're upside down. Our bodies are not really good at supporting themselves when we're upside down because most humans spend most of their life being upright. So it's a way for us to stay engaged and therefore be efficient while we're moving through the air. We don't want to move around through the air as floppy beings, like a bag of rice. It kind of goes everywhere, makes it hard to control, versus a brick. It's a lot more direct. It's solid, it's condensed. That's what we want to do. It's just more efficient. Yeah. So the muscle groups that we're going to be using. Your core has a bunch of different groups of muscles that are overlapping each other. Now, this might be something that you already know, so I apologize if I'm repeating redundant information, but I had somebody in another class get really angry at me that I said, don't use your six-pack abs. And they're like, well, what abs should I use if I can't use those? Well, you have a lot of abs. There's not just the front abs, which are the rectus abdominal muscles. They're the ones that connect from the rib cage down. Those are your iconic six-pack abs. That's what those are. They're very superficial. But underneath of that, we have different layers. So the transverse abdominis is the ab muscles that kind of wrap around us like this. Imagining a corset of muscle. They're the ones that when engaging can kind of squeeze and hold and support our spine. This sort of effort, okay? Other than that, we have obliques. We've got our psoas, that's going to be responsible for a few things. We've also got low abs down here below the belly button. We've got our upper abs, which are here near the rib cage. Our diaphragm, I include in that, even though it's more internal, right? And then we have our pelvic floor, which is a basket of abs, kind of. It's a basket of muscles that sit between our pelvis, inside of our pelvis, to help hold all of our internal organs up. If we didn't have that, everything would kind of, spill out, and that's no good. So those are the abs that I'm talking about. Now, one more little tidbit that I like to think about, just to help organize those abs in your brain, is a canister, and I got this visual from Emily Sherb, so I take no credit for it, but I really love this visual. Imagine a cylinder, it's got a top, it's got its cylindrical sides, and then it's got a bottom. The top of that canister is your diaphragm. The sides of that canister is that transverse abdominis muscle that I was talking about. And the bottom of that canister is your pelvic floor, those pelvic floor muscles. So those help us keep everything together. So engaging all those muscles is what we're trying to do in a way that's also conducive to movement. All right, sorry about that like spiel. Let's figure out how to do it correctly. We're gonna lay down on the floor. The first exercise that I like to talk about is what I call the balloon exercise. Laying down nice and flat. Knees are gonna be bent for now because bending your knees will automatically help tuck your pelvis. And later on, we'll talk about how squeezing the butt and tucking the pelvis is very important to actually engaging the abs correctly so that you can engage them over time. You can have a pillow, you can have your head flat on the floor, and lay down. And the first thing that I want you to feel is how gravity is naturally helping us sink those abdominal muscles down into the floor. You're probably not laying like this. That's probably not a comfortable place to be. If you are, try to neutralize that spine. Maybe shake out the hips, relax, and let gravity push down. Now, the balloon exercise is, I want you to imagine that you are blowing up a party balloon. Not one of those helium ones, but just a regular party balloon. So you have the little thing there, and you're going, and you're blowing air into the balloon. And when you blow air into a party balloon, you don't want to blow just from the cheeks. You don't want to go, right? That will probably make you lightheaded and pass out. You want to blow air from your diaphragm. So when you're blowing that balloon, really imagine that you're pushing from here, from the center, trying to make that balloon expand. And I find that making the noise, although silly, helps because it's more reactive, it's more tactile for your body to understand. So just try that a couple times. And as you do that, you might notice a couple of things. My rib cage is going down. It's pressing into the floor like that. And that's because you are using your diaphragm to pull in and up because you're pressing air out of your lungs with your diaphragm into that imaginary balloon. Okay, so that's part of it. Here. Now, once you blow air into that balloon, I want you to hold it there. I want you to find that engagement, find that connection, and hold it, and then breathe. But breathe without losing this upper ab engagement, without going, without doing that. So it might feel like a more shallow breath, but see if you can take that breath into the side body instead of front to back. So you're inhaling into the sides, into your rib cage, making room between the ribs, and then breathing out. Nice. So that's the balloon exercise. I find that really helpful to help engage the upper abs. So that's the first part of your hollow body engagement. Second part of your hollow body engagement is going to be what I'm generalizing as the lower abs. There's a lot to it, but let's just say upper and lower. For this one, if you have an object, you can use an object. It's not necessary, it's just a visual aid. But I call these belly button push-ups. I learned these from another person as well, so I give credit to Clayton from Aerial Fit, if you know who that is. I'm going to take my peanut, because this is the object that I have, and I'm going to place it right on my belly button. If you don't have an object, just watch your body and see what's happening. I'm going to support my head because I'm going to want to be able to look and see what I'm doing. Again, same setup, neutral spine, and you might notice that when you lift your head, your upper abs naturally make that engagement that I was just talking about. You don't have to think about it too much. So from here, I'm going to try to push my abs up. I am bracing and I am lifting that peanut up to the sky. This is not what we want to do in hollow body. I'm then going to pull my abs down. I'm going to try to think about letting gravity sink that peanut into the floor. This is what you want to be doing when you're doing hollow body. So pushing it up, bringing it, pushing it up, bringing it down. Now,
You should be able to do this without tying it to your breath. So this effort of pushing and pulling, I can still talk, I can still breathe while doing this action. Because I'm not using my diaphragm to make this happen. I'm using my mid and low abs to make this happen. Okay.
So that's kind of a goofy one because you're literally using your belly button to push an object around, but it's really helpful to sort of understand that effort, understand that trajectory. I've got one more for you. Again, if you don't have an object, don't worry about it, but if you have something like an elastic band, a shoelace, a scarf, a blanket, I don't know, anything that you can yank and pull on, that will be useful. If you don't worry about it. You can just look to see if you're doing it correctly. But for this one, I'm going to lay my ribbon, whatever you have down,
underneath my low back. And it should be in the spot where if I were to relax, I have a natural arch, that natural mouse hole. Okay. You don't want it too low because that's going to be cheating. You don't want it too high. That's going to be cheating. So right in the place, and you can see that it is loosely moving from side to side. That's where I want it to be. Because we're now going to try to hold that band in place using that engagement. I'm going to think about pushing my heels into the floor to help me tuck my pelvis. You see that? Relaxed, engaged. See if you can use your butt to help. I'm going to sit up slightly so that my shoulder blades are coming off the floor. You can support your head if your neck gets tired. I'm looking for that ab engagement that I just talked about. I'm going to pull my belly button down towards the floor, and I'm going to hold it there. Now, if you have a buddy, what's really nice is your buddy can then pull on this. But as you can see, and you can test this for yourself, it's not moving. It's no longer sliding from side to side. Now this is elastic band, so this might not be the best to show you, but I can't pull it out. You see I'm pulling really hard. I can't pull it out. It's because I'm holding it down with the strength of my abs. This is hollow body. Now if you want more challenge, my challenge to you is, step 1, lift your feet off the floor, bring your knees to a tabletop position, check. Have you lost any of that engagement? Have you lost any of that pressure of pressing that low back into the floor? Have you started bread loafing? Have you started letting those abs rise? If the answer is yes, reset, refine that engagement, and continue. Challenge 2, start to straighten your legs. At first, I'm starting with them pretty much straight up to the ceiling, but if you want even more challenge than that, you can start to bring the legs down towards a full extension. Make sure that at this point, your butt is working really hard to help you keep your hips tucked. And as you can see, I still can't pull that band out. Now, what I find happens, I'm going to show you some things
that go wrong. When you get to that point of extending the legs, you're creating a lever so long that it makes it really difficult for your abs to keep up, and you might feel this in the hip flexor.
If you feel this in your hip flexors, it's probably because you're doing this. As you can see, I've let my low back come off the floor. My pelvis is tilting the other direction, and I am still piked in my hips. Although this might look silly on the floor, this is actually something that I see very often when people do hollow body, hanging hollow body. It's one of the biggest issues that I see. There's not enough butt use, and the abs are not actually engaging in the correct direction. Okay? So those 3 exercises, I absolutely love to sort of tap into those muscles. Hopefully you're starting to feel what I'm talking about, that feeling of trying to draw your belly button away from the fabric of your shirt. That's sort of like, oh, I'm pulling in and back. Sometimes it's referred to as the creepy finger. Someone's got a really creepy, icy cold finger. Again, thanks, Clayton Jordan. And they're trying to touch you in the belly button with it, and you're like, ooh, no, and you're drawing away from it. That. Okay? So as we do these next exercises, I'm going to go into the harder stuff. Try to check in. Be honest with yourself. See if you are doing any of those things that I mentioned. It's not bad. Everyone has these tendencies.
your body naturally wants to use those muscles. It's going to try to brace. And it doesn't mean that you're not working hard. It doesn't mean you're not getting stronger. You're still getting stronger. It's just that when it comes to things like hollow body and inverting, you're going to hit a plateau if you're always bracing. And I know this because that's what happened to me. Okay, so this is all from personal experience and from doing it wrong at first. So we're going to start with our heel taps. Heel taps. So you've probably done these with me before. But first exercise, we're laying down on the floor. The hands can be out, they can be parallel to the ground, or they can be supporting the neck. You're going to flex your feet, you're squeezing your knees and your ankles together, you're finding that engagement, and then you're going to tap far away, close in, far, near, far, near. Okay, the further away you tap those heels, the harder it'll be to maintain this sort of pelvic tilt ab engagement. So make sure that as the legs extend far away, you're not losing that control. All right, first exercise. On your marks, get set, and begin. So tap, 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 tap. We will do this first one for a minute. Just keep checking in, keep making sure. And keep breathing as well. Make sure that your breath isn't coming all the way down here, but it's expanding sideways. Yeah. Beautiful. And if you lose form, that's okay. Just reset, make sure everything is where it needs to be, and continue. As I mentioned before, the goal is not to do 100 reps, but rather to do the reps that we are doing very well. 3, 2, 1, rest. Excellent. Good work. All right. Next one. This one's an interesting one. And I prefer to do this with my hands behind my head, again, just to support my neck, because otherwise I have a tendency to like do this. But you can also do the arm version of it as well, and that is eagle. If any of you do the eagle pose in yoga, you're going to basically cross one leg on top of the other, like so. Now, if you have the flexibility, you can also cross your ankles here as well. And if you really want to, you can do the arm thing as well. But I'm going to do here, I'm going to support my neck. Then we're going to do sit-ups here or here. Okay, we're going to go 30 seconds with one leg on top, 30 seconds with the other leg on top. What I find is that crossing of the ankles really helps you not turn on your hip flexor. So you're really isolating your core when you do this exercise. All right, so decide which side you want to do first, and I'll tell you at the 30-second mark to switch. Okay, so crossing the ankles, squeezing them together, and begin. Sitting up. Really imagine the belly button drawing closer to the floor each time you sit up. You might even be able to bring your knees in towards your nose. Good, and switch legs. Continue. Doing awesome. Almost done. Don't forget to breathe. 3, 2, 1, rest. Ooh, good job. Feel that one? Excellent. All right, next one. I've got reverse sit-ups on the list. Reverse sit-ups. You can have your hands down by your side.
where you're going to be bringing your knees in and you're going to try to send your butt up towards the sky. You can do it with a bent knee version like I just did, bent knees, or you can try straight legs. Or if you're feeling very adventurous, then you can start in a hollow body and extend up to your straight legs. Again, just remember the ab engagement. Okay, and that you're not bracing to come up. Okay, so reverse sit-ups. Go ahead and set up. And feel free to switch between the variations as well if you want to try the harder one and then go back to one of the other ones. Okay, ready, set, begin. You can also tap the toes to the floor. And I'm using my arms. Nice. See if you can feel how the abs are drawing in and back to help you lift those legs up. Squeeze the glutes at the top. And keep those legs together. Don't let them come apart. You're almost done. Beautiful. And rest. Wonderful. Reverse sit-ups. Love them. All right, next thing are going to be our extensions. So I am starting either on the elbows or seated with the fingertips on the floor for balance, or seated with the hands off the floor, depending on how hard you want to go. But I'm starting with my knees in, my heels tucked. I'm going to extend out. I'm extending in both directions at the same time. My head and shoulders are going one way, my feet are going the other way. I'm going to come right back up. If you're going from the elbows, you're not going to be extending the upper body. You're only going to be extending the lower body. And the angle at which you extend matters. The closer you get to 180 degrees, the harder this exercise becomes. If you stay closer to a 90-degree angle, then you will have an easier time with this one. That is also true for the double extension version, right? The lower I go, the harder it's going to be. And as I mentioned before, as the legs get lower to the floor, make sure you're squeezing your glutes and really squeeze them more than you think you should, because that's really going to help you keep your pelvis tucked. Ready, on your marks. Go ahead and set up. Maybe decide which one you want to be and where you want your hands to be. And begin. Nice. So as no distance, squeeze the butt. Nice. Now I am keeping my feet pointed because that is my habit and my profession, but it doesn't really matter. You can have your feet flexed. Don't forget to breathe. We're almost done. 10 more seconds. And rest. Wonderful. Excellent. I'm hoping you're really starting to feel your abs a lot. And maybe even feeling a deeper set of abs than you normally would. If this is something that you're used to doing, then great job. If this is new for you, it might feel exhausting, even though you're doing less. You feel like your muscle is fatiguing faster. That's good. That's excellent. That means that you're targeting that muscle and that it's working harder.
So don't feel that you're weak. You're doing very targeted exercises. I have to keep reminding myself that as well. And I'm like, oh my God, I can only do like 5. It's because they're hard. That's why. Awesome. All right, we're going to do a pike and straddle exercise.
For these, I'm hiking with my legs together, straddling legs apart. I don't care about your flexibility. If you have a flat straddle, then you'll probably have an easier time with this exercise, but that's not necessarily the goal here. You can totally do this with your legs here. Not an issue at all. But what we're going to do is you're going to try to lift your feet up towards the sky, and then in your straddle, you're going to try to lift your hips up towards the sky. In both cases, you are lifting your sacrum off the floor. So here I am lifting, I sometimes call that toes to ceiling, and here I am curling. Lift, curl. Now you can have your hands here. You'll have to navigate the legs, or you can have your hands on the floor. Okay.
But in both cases, it is not a huge movement. You're just trying to get your sacrum off the floor. But pike straddling, alternating them. Get ready.
And of course you can support the head or just rest the head down on the floor. That's fine as well. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. So legs straight. Curl. 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 This is one of those movements that for such a small amount of movement, it's so much effort. So, which is also why I like combining the pike version with the straddle version. I find the pike version to be more challenging. By the way, if toes to bar or leg lifts is a goal of yours or is something that you are working on, these toes to ceiling are really going to help because it's allowing you to lift and curl without bracing. Because when it comes to toes to ceiling, if you're bracing, your abdominal muscles, go ahead and stop. That's time. Your abdominal muscles are going to literally get in the way of your thighs. You're not going to be able to lift the legs up high enough, and you probably have an anterior tilt to your pelvis, which also will prohibit you from lifting your legs past a certain point. So if you're doing leg lifts and it feels like you hit an invisible wall or ceiling and it feels like you just can't go any higher and you're not sure why, that's why. Yeah. So, alrighty. Next one is going to be our flutter kicks. And I said flutter or star because you have an option for this one. You can either move the legs this way or this way, or both, maybe circles. Doesn't matter. I basically just want you moving your legs. For the rest of the body, your options are to make this easier, you can make a little triangle with your hands, and then your tailbone should go right into that hole. You're gonna tuck the pelvis, stick your fingers underneath the sacrum, tailbone right in that little divot that you create, and then finding your hollow body here. This is gonna help you maintain that pelvic tilt, but I still want you to really think about squeezing the glutes, to really squeeze the butt to help you keep that up. And then the legs will either go in and out, up and down, or circles, maybe the other way. Doesn't matter, you can alternate, but I basically want you to move your legs around. For more challenge, don't have your hands under the hips, have your hands out to the side, or maybe even up, or maybe even up here if you're getting real advanced. Okay, so picking whichever version of that you want to do. On your marks, get set, and begin. I'm actually going to do this version. I like to watch the abs, make sure, are they drawing down towards the floor? Is my butt squeezing so hard? Making diamonds. Sorry, Patrick. maybe up, switch that pattern, maybe circles. And of course, oh yeah, also, if your legs are more up towards the ceiling, this will be a little bit easier. So you can always play with that. And if you lose your form, put your feet down, find it, keep going. You're almost done. 2, 1, rest. Beautiful, beautiful abs. Okay, we're almost done. Next one is going to be roll-ups. This one, if you have a heavy object, works really well. If you can stick your fingers underneath a couch, it works really well. If you don't have a heavy object or a couch, don't worry about it. Hands on the floor also work. It's just harder. Yeah, it's just a little bit harder. When I say a weight, I recommend something like 3 to 5 pounds-ish. If it's too heavy, it's going to be giving you too much assistance, and it's going to be more of a lat exercise than an ab exercise, which is valid, and it's a great one either way, but we're trying to target the abs today, so less weight is going to be better today. So if you have a weight, you're going to put it right on the tips of your fingers, and you're going to bring your arms up by your head, like you're hanging from a trapeze bar or something. If you don't have a weight, then your hands are going to be down by your hips, palms down, and you can use your hands to press into the floor if you need to. Either way, you're going to pull your heels to your bum and try to maintain this distance. So it doesn't matter. If your heels are here and this is as far as you can compress, that's totally fine, but just maintain this distance. Don't let it fluctuate. So keep your heels as close to your butt as you can. Then you're going to pull your knees towards your chest, and you're going to try to roll up a little bit, like so. You don't have to go all the way to a shoulder stand. You can. You don't have to. You're just trying to get, again, your sacrum off the floor and rolling down. Trying to do that with control. If you have a weight, I have a couch, so it's a little bit heavy, but pretending I have a small weight in my hand, it'll look like that. And again, just making sure that you're not doing this. It is a very natural instinct to try to straighten the legs to help lever weight over your head. But again, we're trying to isolate the abs here, so I'm being mean. If you feel like you're cheating, something that you can do is to actually put a block, like a yoga block, on your shins. Don't go upside down if you do this one, but trying to keep your shins parallel to the floor, because if you do this, you're gonna drop that yoga block on your face. So, keep you honest. All right, get ready. Go ahead and set up, whether or not you have a thing, or weight, or block. Ready, set, go. Another thing you can do, I guess, is also hold something underneath your knees, like a teddy bear or a pillow. Of course, you can play with alternating. Beautiful. And I'm trying to use my arms as little as possible. You're almost done. One thing that I found that helped me is to keep your shoulder blades broad on your back. Don't squeeze your shoulder blades together. Make sure that they stay broad. Go ahead and rest. I found that that really helps, that exercise for me, especially getting over that point where you feel like you're stuck, because there is that point, I know it. Think about spreading the shoulder blades apart, protracting, and that will help you get up over that hump. Okay, last one, last exercise, and then we're gonna do a little bit of stretching, we'll be done. So for this last exercise is our butt balances. This is a great one for the legs as well, and you can choose, but I am going to be counterbalancing the weight of my legs with the strength of my abs.
This is the only exercise we're doing today that's more upright as well, so this should feel a little bit more like what hollow body or a leg lift would feel like, although not as extreme. So I am going to find my sit bones. I'm going to think about drawing that belly button away from the fabric of my shirt, but I'm also trying to stay broad through the shoulders. I'm trying not to do this. Okay. Staying open to the shoulders. Shoulders are relaxed, neck is relaxed. I'm not using my arms here. Then lifting the feet up off the floor. And again, just notice the distance between your chest and your thighs, whatever that may be. Try to keep it. Try not to let the thighs come away. Then you can have your hands on the floor for balance, or up in the air, or moving if you're being really hardcore today. Squeeze your knees together. You're going to try to straighten the legs and then bring them back down. If you want a little bit of a rest, you can add a rock in between those. So that will look like this. You're going to rock back, you're going to rock up, and then you're going to try to extend, and you're going to rock back, and then you're going to rock up. Okay? Or you can stay up and work on your extensions. If you're doing the arm version, let me see if I can even do this. You're going to extend the legs in the arms, and then bring them down. So we're doing that, and this is going to be the last one, the butt balances. Okay. If you're really having a hard time with this one, by the way, you can have a little bit of support with your hands behind your legs. Just make sure that it's minimal. Lost my balance. Okay. And that you're not just holding, because then again, it's an arm exercise and not necessarily an ab exercise. All right, go ahead and choose which version you want to do. By the way, if you lose your balance like I did, don't worry about it. Just make sure there's nothing behind you. So if you lose your balance, you're not going to like knock your head on something. Begin either here or here. And if you do find yourself rounding your back like that, just make sure you reset in between. Nice. This one does depend on your height flexibility a little bit. So it's okay if yours looks a little bit more like that. Totally fine. The difference might be that you feel this more in your hip flexors if your legs are lower to the floor. Keep breathing. You're almost done. Good, and rest. Whew. All right, let's do a quick stretchy stretch. You're gonna flip over. We're gonna be on our elbows. We're gonna find our Sphinx baby cobra pose, whatever you wanna call this. And I want you to try to drag your body across the floor. You're gonna try to pull your chest through your biceps, neck headlong. Relax lower body. You can even, wiggle the hips. And sideways so you can see better. I'm trying to drag, I'm trying to pull. I'm trying to stay long. Good. And then you can either relax and take a break from there, repeating, or if you want more, you can come to a full cobra. So setting the hands underneath the shoulders this time instead, lifting up. But still, I want that same sensation of trying to drag my body, trying to pull my chest through, keeping my body long, keeping my neck long and my shoulders down. That's important. Don't let your shoulders be up here. You're not stretching anything. Pushing. Breathing. Very nice. Awesome. Good. Come on out of that. I also want to do a quick side stretch. I talked a lot about breathing sideways into those ribs. So let's stretch that out as well. I find that this one is done best when standing up. So go ahead and stand up. And if you've done any classes with Janelle, you have probably done this, I'm willing to bet. We're going to do our side lean. So one arm is going to extend up. My feet are wider than hips distance, comfortable distance apart, and I really want to reach. I really want to lift my arm so that my shoulder actually touches my earlobe. And then I'm going to bend over and sideways. And I'm using my other arm on my leg for support. Okay. And I'm thinking about my ribs opening and spreading away from each other. Trying to make a nice even bend all the way from these fingertips down to this foot. Breathe, stretch, reach. And then as you come up, keep reaching up, 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 up. And then let that arm drop down. Take a moment. And then we're going to do the other side. So reaching that arm up. Shoulder towards the earlobe. And up and over. Using your other arm, pressing into the leg for support. Of course, don't press on your kneecap or anything like that, but reaching, breathing. I know it's hard to breathe when half your rib is compressed. And then reach as you come back. Tall, long, extended, and then let that arm drop. Good job. Excellent work, everybody. All right, that is time. So I'm going to go ahead and stop recording, and I'll open the room for questions and such. Thank you so much.